Peeps, it looks like Halloween Horror Nights is about to get
Groovy.
because we now have official confirmation that Evil Dead will be returning to this year's Halloween Horror Nights. Now this is actually a pretty cool announcement because Evil Dead has been featured at Halloween Horror Nights a number of times before, but let's talk a little bit briefly about what the Evil Dead franchise is. The first Evil Dead came out in 1980, directed by Sam Raimi and starring Bruce Campbell, and is a low-budget horror film that introduced the Necronomicon, and a franchise that has lasted for over 40 years, because then came Evil Dead 2, which cranked things up, blending horror with wild, over-the-top chaos and humor. And then we got a third film, Army of Darkness, which leaned heavily into horror and comedy and made Ash the full-on icon that he is today. Years later, the series saw a more darker revival with Evil Dead in 2013, followed in 2023 by Evil Dead Rise, which brought a new kind of life to the franchise, which will now continue in Evil Dead Burn later this year. So across the decades, Evil Dead has gone from horror to humor to a more brutal type of gore in more recent films. And Horror Nights has actually tapped into those over the years. So technically, Evil Dead, the franchise, was featured at Halloween Horror Nights 19 in a house called Silver Screams, which was a mashup of different kinds of horror films, and featured Army of Darkness in a medieval skeleton segment inspired by the film. Then, in 2013, Evil Dead returned to Halloween Horror Nights with its first full house based on the remake, and this was one of the most fan-favorite houses of that year. Then, in 2016, Horror Nights brought in Ash vs. Evil Dead. Ash vs. Evil Dead was a TV show that continued the original continuity of the movie franchise. And so that brought in the humor, the puppetry, and all of the chaos of that TV show. Fast forward to 2026, and we now have a new Evil Dead film, Evil Dead Burn, and the fourth time that the franchise is coming to Halloween Horror Nights, and I cannot be more excited for it. Big fan of the Evil Dead franchise, have been all my life, really, and so I'm looking forward to seeing Evil Dead come back to Halloween Horror Nights. I experienced Silver Scream, I experienced Ash vs. Evil Dead. I did not get to experience the 2013 Evil Dead house, so I'm looking forward to seeing Evil Dead Burn as a Halloween Horror Nights house. So what do you think? Are you excited to see Evil Dead return to Halloween Horror Nights? Have you seen or are you familiar with the Evil Dead franchise? Leave us a comment down below with your thoughts, and while you're down there, give us a thumbs up on this video. It helps us out a lot. And hit the subscribe and notification bell so that you are notified when we release more Halloween Horror Nights content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.